Wow, I love those graphics. Hey, welcome everybody. And welcome also to our ASL interpreter, Teresa. Thank you so much. Just a little housekeeping before we begin. For those of you new to Zoom, at the very bottom of your screen, there's lots of different options. It says mute and stop video and security and participants and whatnot. Pull up your chat. There's lots of things that are going to be going on in the chat bar. Things getting posted as we go. That's also where you can ask questions. If you have a question at any point during the presentation, just all caps ask, and then put your question after that. And then someone on the fine team, probably Janet in our events side, will grab that and we'll get that in the Q&A section later in the event. Before I throw this to Jason, we would like to highlight the volunteers. And poetically,
and this is breaking news. NBC News now projects Raphael Warnock as the winner.
John Ossoff, the Democrat, will win the Senate runoff in the state of Georgia. Democrats will regain control of the U.S. Senate.
Anything is possible.
Now the whole country is watching us.
Tens of thousands of voters were registered.
Let your voices be heard.
We are a force to be reckoned with.
yes, thank you to all of our volunteers. It's an insane number of volunteers and an insane number of volunteer shifts, which Jason will tell you later. I won't steal his thunder. But what I was going to say is, poetically, that video was also put together by a super volunteer, Jeff Seeloff, who is actually queuing videos for this night's event. So feel free to thank him in the chat. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Jason Berlin, the founder of Field Team 6.
Hello, everybody. There, I'm fully unmuted. Hey, thank you so much, Teresa, for interpreting this event. I could not appreciate that more. And thank you to every one of the 60 people on this call. Despite the insane, chaotic churn of today, happy second impeachment, by the way. You made it onto this call. Yeah, today we got to see to see Trump impeached a second time in one term. That's record speed. That is history making. And there's a shot that he could be convicted possibly after he leaves office and prohibited from holding office ever again. That's only because of the work that all of you did and that all of the greater resistance movement did to make this happen. So today, I'm going to go over in the strategy briefing, just talk about Field Team 6's origin, who we are, what we did, and then mainly what we will be doing in 2021 and 22, because the fight goes on and I'm extremely excited about where we're going to be going in the next 2 years. Having built this beautiful, heroic origin story with all of us these last 4 years, and actually literally saved the world. So I'm Jason Berlin. As maybe all of you know, I used to be a TV writer, and then Trump got elected and I changed my entire life. Threw myself into volunteering and became totally addicted to the profound satisfaction of empowering other people when you register them. Thank God I'm not the only one. All of you took some version of that journey as well. And the tens of thousands of volunteers across the country all experienced that and stepped up. And from all people from all different walks of life decided they had to volunteer once in a while or all the time, or maybe change their lives completely. And the sum of it all was just we built a cathedral of activism and something really beautiful and that changed the world forever. So the way we got started, of course, was registering voters in Orange County and flipping all 5 swing districts in Southern California in the 2018 midterms. Flipping the House was the first and only step we could take, having no power in the entire federal government. We did that. We needed 23 seats. We got 40, almost double what we needed. Most Democrats swept into office during a midterm since Watergate. And after that, early 2019, right after the election, my job ended with the party, and that's when I founded Field Team 6 with our stated mission, Registered Democrats Save the World, so that we could try to do exactly that on a bigger stage in 12 battleground states across the country. And that's what we did. We call ourselves Field Team 6 because we're a crack team of voter registrars who go behind enemy lines and get the impossible done. What makes us unique is that we are proudly partisan, cheerfully, respectfully democratic and progressive. We also love and revere our volunteers more than any other organization. I'll take any other organization on. And we always include fun as a core value. We come up with creative solutions to intractable problems, and we're here to stay. We don't, unlike campaigns, which come and go, and the Democratic Party, which shuts down its operations as far as grassroots goes after every election, we register Democrats all year, every year. We're evergreen. And from now on, there should never be any more off years. I've never had a job where I could afford to take off a whole year. So registering voters is a constant thing that needs to happen. What we mean by saving the world, of course, we all are part of that, but it's the people who save the world the most are, of course, the voters we register. And they are about 75% women, young people, people of color. We're very proud of that. And that's part of our core DNA as an organization. I take great pride in the fact that a global pandemic did not shut us down. Instead, we took that opportunity to crack the code on registering Democrats digitally and came out of it with Voterizer, our own custom app for registering Democrats, voterizer.org, which has been a huge success. It's co-brandable and now it's customizable. So if you're an organization in the same space and you'd like to register Democrats, it's available to you. We can put your logo on it, and you can even tweak the language to your liking and put your own image on the front.
Shout out to Adam Lesh, who's actually on the call and is the father of Voterizer.
Huge shout out. Thank you for mentioning. Adam is the genius who single-handedly created this. He said, I think I could maybe make an app that might be, able to work. And now we have this app that we've registered over 10,000 voters with. That's the fastest, easiest to use voter registration app out there. And the most helpful. It sends automated GeoTV reminders to everyone who registers with it. To our partners for our partners who use a version of Voterizer, we also share the data with them of every voter they've registered. So in addition to our GeoTV reminders, they can send out their own micro-targeted GeoTV reminders. So yes, please help us continue to register new Democrats, spread the word about voterizer.org. And if we could drop that in the chat, that'd be great if you haven't already, Janet. And if you're a part of an organization that might like their own version, please let us know. Of course, it's free. And Adam usually gets it done within like an hour. I'm not promising that, but that's usually what happens. All right, so that's who we are. On to what we've done, what all of us have done together in the toughest imaginable circumstances, under a global pandemic, with no other national organization doing partisan voter registration in swing states. We did the toughest work there is in the places where it mattered most and where the margins were tightest. So in 2018, we flipped the House. In 2020, we flipped the White House. And just a few days ago, we flipped the Senate too. So in the 4 years since 2016, we went from having no power in the federal government to a Democratic trifecta. Because you reached out to so many people and found so many good-hearted ones, sifted through a lot of others, but found so many good-hearted people and turned them into educated voters. There will now not only be President Biden and Vice President Harris, but Joe and Kamala will now be able to pass laws, secure their cabinet nominations, confirm judges, and make progress that will last generations. Since 2016, our volunteers have registered a total of 30,088 progressive voters across our 12 battleground states. And some highlights of those include the 6,036 we registered in Arizona, which was 52% of Biden's victory margin there, of just a little over 11,000. We registered over 2,000 voters in Pennsylvania. We registered almost 2,000 in Florida. We registered by January 5th, almost 1,500 new Democrats in Georgia, and many thousands of voters to secure swing House districts, including the ones in California, CA 45, Katie Porter's district, CA 49 for Mike Levin, and CA 10 for Josh Harder. Okay, here's an amazing fact. Since February 2019, when Field Team 6 really got up and running, we've booked 40,774 volunteer shifts with over 10,000 volunteers. That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh, it's about 20,000 shifts a year. That's all because of you. We have, okay, now since August 2020, which is when we were able to crank up our digital field program, here's what we've done. We sent over 13.6 million texts. We sent 6.4 million emails, targeted emails to eligible voters. We made about 100,000 phone calls, and our social media storms, which were spearheaded by our hero Patty Crane, and really also pushed out there in an incredibly vigorous way by Dale Roy Robinson. We reached almost 12,000 impressions. Well, we had 12,000 impressions almost, and had a reach of over 3 million. That's huge.
I think that's not the right number. That 12,000 impressions is not right.
That may have been from the last round.
Those are millions, and we had 25 million in just one storm. So the first storm we had was 25 million. So I think the number is much, much higher.
I lied. So much higher than that. And since the November 3rd election, in fact, before it was called, we were already going full throttle into Georgia. And that, all of you volunteers and organizers are not just my heroes. You're also my conscience, because I was exhausted, and people immediately are like, when's the next thing? What can I do? Oh, Georgia, you heard about Georgia. What are we gonna do? So, so it's partially because of you that even happened at all. But of course, we went full throttle into Georgia, and what we did was reach out to our own lists of voters, and then teamed up with a Native American group of organizers on the ground to contact their list of Native American voters in Georgia. And in the end, we wound up sending, and this is just between November 3rd and January 5th, we sent over 1 million texts. Our Twitter storms got over 20 million impressions and a reach of over 3 million. And we made 44,000 phone calls, mainly to that list of Native American registered voters in Georgia. Also, in this entire time since August 2020, we produced and released over 40 videos. I guess that's over the last year or so. Super proud of that. Just going back to our Twitter storms for a second. Those incredibly successful Twitter storms could not have been so successful without the almost infinite assets that were designed for us to post. That was also spearheaded by our hero, Patty Crane, who took her cue from organizers on the ground. And like this awesome image, just simple, powerful, eye-catching, great for social media. And you can see why so many people were, liking and retweeting and just spreading the word. Patty Crane took her cues from organizers on the ground. So we always made sure that our messaging was exactly in tune with problems that they saw happening, and not just our own voice, in being imposed. It was actually responsive to actual problems. For example, there's this explainer video that our own amazing David Zorn made to address concerns from our Georgian organizer friends.
Yes.
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 Yes, 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 yes.
And it worked. They did. People did have that question. Wait, can I vote for Warnock and Asa? I have to choose, right? No, please vote for both. And thank God they did, against all odds. Really, it's a 1 in a million Death Star shot to get 2 Democratic senators from Georgia. Mind-blowing. First Black senator from Georgia, first Jewish senator from Georgia, and first millennial senator in a runoff where turnout is usually lower. It's staggering what we achieved altogether. And I just want to show one more short video that our genius videographer Jeff Seeloff made to keep fighting for a fair count even after polls closed.
I'll tell you this, in a civilized nation, the machinery of democracy should work for everyone, everywhere, not just in certain places and not just on a certain day. And I promise you tonight, we're going to make sure that every vote is counted. Every single vote. Every vote gets counted.
Beautiful, beautiful. Simple and helpful. Also, I know we said it in writing on the screen, but I just have to say out loud, thank God for Stacey Abrams. Oh, thank God for New Georgia Project and all the organizers of color who have been doing this for decades and have lost and lost and lost before they won. That's beautiful. That's courage to keep on going through the worst voter suppression in America. Every type of ingenious voter suppression. Georgia has raised it to an art form, and to keep going anyway and win so that our organizing beats their cheating. Oh, beautiful. They should just give her whatever problem there is. Give her the Jared Kushner portfolio, Middle East, everything. So I just want to talk for a second about our lists. Our lists of voters who we contacted, the data that we acquired is the entire reason for our ability to be effective And the lists included, we started with one list. We found a list of public college students and raised just barely enough money to buy it, but not have enough to actually text the people on it yet. And then we raised the money to do that. We built momentum, and we wound up getting every list that literally is available and texting every likely Democrat that every single major data vendor could find. On the way, we texted public college students, purged voters, college educated women, Black women and men, Latinx women and men, pro-marriage equality voters, pro-choice voters, healthcare voters, likely Democratic activists, and even possible Trump defectors. And those are some brave phone bankers and text bankers who contacted them. So for the scrappy upstart, the fellowship of unlikely heroes that we are, these results are phenomenal. We were not only a giant part of flipping Arizona for the first time in 24 years and Georgia for the first time in 28, we also helped elect Mark Kelly, which put the Senate within reach, and then helped elect Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff, securing our majority. And the voters we registered across those 12 battlegrounds not only helped depose a dictator and hold the House majority and get the Senate majority, they will continue to vote blue, pushing their states and districts and precincts more and more blue over time. So well done, everyone. Round of applause for everything you've done. It blows me away. There has been, which brings us to the current moment. And the current moment is nothing if not bizarre and confusing and depressing and infuriating and maddening. So yeah, whatever you're feeling is okay. It's such emotional whiplash to win 2 Democratic senators from Georgia one day and then have an attempted coup the next. Those are 2 different ways to take the Senate. And one's right and one is fascism. Thank God we got the Senate. Watching that footage, I was just thinking, thank God we beat all odds and won a Democratic trifecta, because we are going to need it. And we do need it. We do need it. So what we've done over the last 4 years, we've managed to, and this is the greater resistance movement, we have managed to save the world. We did. We saved the world. You can literally say that, and that's a rare thing. So keep that in, and you make a shrine to that in your soul. But just barely. We now have to, democracy hangs by a thread. Our majorities, we have a 50-50 majority in the Senate. That's not actually a majority, but Kamala will break the ties. We have an 11-seat majority as of now in the House. Typically, historically, the party in power tends to lose seats in the House and Senate in the following midterm. We need to change history. I know we can, because we've done it already. And it's not set in stone. It doesn't happen every single midterm. It is possible to change it. And that's exactly what we need to do. So now we keep fighting. We're starting over, but with so much more than we had before. We have more tools. We have Voterizer. We have social media storms. We have our tech tools. We have more skills. Personally, as volunteers have become organizers, and organizers have become leaders, and we have more us. We have more of the network of volunteers and our family to do this. So reasons 2021 is the perfect time to register Democrats. Voting is a habit. We can start people in that voting habit now, thinking about registering to vote, and the fact that there is voting and there is politics, waking them up to that. Now is also the perfect time to show every community and state we're in that we're not transactional, that we're not here for one specific candidate or even election cycle. We're here to help these communities and give our work and heart to empower people in the community, make sure everyone's voices are heard. Yes, so yeah, we don't go away after each election. We continue with our mission. So like the A team, but with way more women. We'll continue to go where we're needed most, flipping districts and states blue across the country. So I'm going to talk now about our future, the next 2 years, our mission, strategy, and tactics. The mission being the why, the strategy being where, and the tactics are how. So our mission, registered Democrats save the world. That stays the same. The strategy, we have a 3-part strategy. The first part is grow the Senate majority. The second is grow the House majority. And the third is harness down ballot races to register more Democrats. So we win small elections to help us win bigger ones later. I'm just gonna go into that a little bit. The first part of the strategy, grow the Senate majority. We are going to mainly focus our efforts on 8 triple word score states. They'll be our main focus. There they are. I love this map. I look at it all day long. 8 triple word score states. We call them that because Democrats that we register in those states can help us flip a Senate seat. Each one, oh, could you actually stay on that map for a second, please? Each one of those states, Democrats can help us flip a Senate seat. Every state except Texas. Texas is kind of a bonus state. I'll get to that. But they can help us win a Senate seat. They can help us flip or hold House seats. And what makes it the triple word score is there are down ballot races, including races for governor, mayoral races in many of these states, where we can use those races to register more Democrats, help the Democratic candidate in those races, and then every Democrat we register in those races helps with the statewide races later. So, for example, Senator Pat Toomey, Republican, in Pennsylvania, he has said he is not running again. We could try to grab his seat. Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, horrible rhyme and horrible senator. He's said that he's not going to run again. Richard Burr in North Carolina has also said he's not running again. Open seats are typically easier to flip than when there's an incumbent. So those are all great opportunities. But every one of these states besides Texas has a Senate race that we will be competing in. There's also Marco Rubio in Florida. That would be so wonderful. And of course, in Georgia, we're defending Reverend Warnock's seat. Number 2, grow the House majority. Second part of our 3-part strategy. To grow the House majority, we have a 50-state strategy. Of course, we don't have the manpower to focus on those 50 states like we're focusing on the main 8 triple word score states. But we're going to be nurturing volunteers on the ground to get out in person as soon as it's safe. Not yet, but as soon as it's safe. And for any state we have data from, we may also be able to set up phone banks for people wanting to call into districts to flip them. We will be working in the coming weeks on an update of this heat map. This is a map that was for the last election cycle that showed where the most competitive districts were nationwide. We'll be going through the entire 435 congressional district map again, picking out which districts are most flippable, and encouraging volunteers across the country to start their own voter drives and helping them with, just being their voter registration, training, inspiration, and infrastructure arm, team. And the third part of our strategy, harnessing down ballot races to register more Democrats. There are a raft of mayoral races in Texas coming up May 1st. And that's the first push that we're going to do. If they're May 1st, that means the voter registration deadline will be probably April 2nd or so. And that means from March to beginning of March to April, that will be prime time to text, call, just contact these people in every way we can, email, social media ads. And so that will be our first huge push. There are mayoral races in other of our target states further down the calendar. There are also governor's races. For example, we get a chance to take Doug Ducey's seat in Arizona. He is termed out in 2022, which is great. It'll be open and we can get a Democrat in there. We get to try to flip Ron DeSantis out of his seat in Florida. Oh my God, that'd be wonderful. He only won by a very narrow margin, I think 35,000 votes or so to Andrew Gillum. He beat Andrew Gillum. Greg Abbott, huge voter suppressor in Texas, will have a shot at taking him out of that seat. And Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia. Oh, mwah, chef's kiss. That would be so good. So these are amazing opportunities to really do some good. Bonus strategy. Okay, that's our 3-part strategy. Here's a bonus strategy, though, that we just came up. We pride ourselves on being nimble and responding to the needs of the moment. So our new campaign is called Adopt a Traitor. That was Dale's name, by the way. I wish I thought of it, but Adopt a Traitor. Hours after the attempted coup on January 6th, we all know there were 147 Republicans who voted to overturn the election. So what we've done is found 3 million unregistered Democrats in their districts. Let's register them all. Let's register every single one and make sure they lose their seats by a landslide. Richard Hudson, for example, he's a traitorous Republican who voted to overturn the Biden election. In November, Richard won his district, which is North Carolina's 8th district, by 6.6 points or 25,000 votes. We have 34,000 eligible, likely Democratic voters to call in his district. We're going to do that. In Florida, there's a traitorous Republican Congressman, Carlos Jimenez, who won by 12,000 votes. We have 35,000 to call in his district. And in Texas, I'm only doing 3. There's many more, but I'll stop at 3 because we have phone banks for each of these starting on Sunday. In Texas, Beth Van Dyne, Republican, won her district, Texas's 24th district, by 1.3 points, for about 4,500 votes. We have 23,000 eligible voters to call in her district. So I can't wait. Our wonderful phone bank leader heroes, Gina Harris, Mervis Reisig, and Ashley Craig have stepped up, and they're leading our first 3 weekly phone banks into these 3 districts, Texas. And so it's Texas, North Carolina, and Florida. And remember, every Democrat we register from these helps not just with these districts, but also statewide. And with—
Wait, Jason, can you just say those 3 names again? They're all here.
Oh, I thought you meant the senators. I was like, they are?
The phone bank leaders. The phone bank leaders are here.
Get rid of you. Oh, sorry. Yes, yeah. Gina Harris, Mervis Reisig, and Ashley Craig. Yes, and Ellen Bridle is going to be coming on in March. But thank you so much. Thank you. If not, they've been heroic leaders in this entire 4 years, but also in the Georgia effort, leading phone banks constantly into Georgia. So thank God for them. Thank God for all of you. Glad you're here, and glad Richard Hudson is not. Let him find out when he loses. So, okay, that's our mission, and that's our strategy. Now, tactics, how we're going to do all of this. Our tactics will include text banking, as we've been doing in bursts, starting in March into Texas as funding allows. Text banking is super effective, but also super expensive. And we timed our budget as well as our personal psychological energy to just, explode over the finish line and let's leave it all on the field, because it doesn't matter if there's no America left. Very proud of that. immediately after that, it was like, oh no, there's another. You just finished a marathon. No, there's 5 more miles. You got to get to Georgia. So we raised money for that and spent that. Bottom line is we need to raise money from now till March to get us there. We're going to be doing phone banking starting now. Starting this Sunday, you can sign up for the North Carolina phone bank to get rid of Richard Hudson. He doesn't know our name, but we know his. And Janet dropped that link in the chat for our volunteer ops page. All these phone banks will be listed there. And then after the inauguration, Texas and Florida weekly phone banks will be happening. There's Saturdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays. Try to scatter them across the week to give you more of a chance to get to one. All trainings provided. You don't need to know anything when you get there. We're also going to be starting to do postcarding. This is an experiment. People have had good success with it in different ways. They've never tried it quite like this. We're going to be doing partisan voter registration postcarding. And the way it works, we're figuring out some details, but in broad strokes, we'll have designed postcards with a QR code that links to Voterizer. So they just point their phone at it and they can register to vote immediately. And we'll have a message for each district or state that you're sending them to. You contact us and we'll get you a list of names and addresses of likely Democrats in each of our target states. And we'll have lots of traders available. Unfortunately, there's 147 of them. So there'll be no shortage of names. And we'll see exactly how many people Democrats we can register with that campaign. That should be starting in the next 2 weeks or so. Social media storming. After the inauguration, we will resume at a less frenetic pace than during the Georgia runoff, but we will be having tweet storms with pre-made assets that you can get on and spend 10 minutes or an hour and just tweet things out, post them to Facebook, post them to Instagram, retweet other people's tweets. There are videos that Jeff Seeloff has made that are short and fun and show you how to do all of this. So we're going to do some social media storming with the goal of registering Democrats everywhere and also of making Voterizer a household name. The more people we get to hear the name Voterizer, the more we generate these passive voter streams that keep coming in. We'll, as far as in-person voter drives, because I know you'll be asking about that, we will absolutely restart as soon as it's safe and not a moment before. We will do it on a regional basis, because some regions may develop herd immunity faster, become safer faster than others. I would assume that it's at least 3 to 6 months before we can go out and do this safely. But we will soon have COVID protocols up on the site. I won't get into the granular detail, just to say that, I will, of course, recommend social distancing, masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, a no mask, no ask policy. So you don't talk to anyone unless they themselves are also wearing a mask. And we're going to recommend that it's all digital and you use either a smartphone or a tablet and Voterizer on that. So you'd fill it out for the voter. You'd show them the final confirmation page. They would just have to touch it once. You can wipe that down with a hand sanitizer and proceed. We're also going to be, once we can do this in person, and no one wants to do this in the world more than I do. In-person voter registration was our specialty, as you all know, before COVID came. And that has always been the single most effective way, just in person, face-to-face voter contact, which was taken away from us by the pandemic. It will come back. We don't know when, and we're just going to have to let science dictate when we make that call. Your health and safety are always our number one priority, and that's what will dictate when we make that call. Naturalization ceremonies are a place that we, once it is safe enough to go out, we'll be looking at publicizing when naturalization ceremonies are happening in each of our target states to get people out and make sure that we can register as many brand new voters as possible. So just to sum up, there are so many huge battles ahead. Basically, we saved America's life, all of us together, and now we get to fight to turn all the things we dreamed of into reality. Whatever issue is most important to you, whether it's healthcare, beating COVID, restoring the economy, fighting racial injustice, battling, the climate crisis, all these complex problems have a simple solution, which is building blue electoral power by registering progressives, Democrats, wherever we can. We can't do any of this without you. So thank you to all of you. And, you are the beating heart of this organization. And I'm so proud of everything that we've done. Love you all. So now we open it up for questions.
All right, let's see what we got for the questions.
Thank you for listening to me talk for so long.
All right, well, you're still gonna have to talk because you're gonna have to answer the questions, but I'll try to take up some of the words by asking them. How's that?
Thank you.
All right, Mary Claire asks, regarding Votarizer, are you partnering with the technology efforts of the Democracy Labs?
Deepak is great, and he's a friend. We've talked about a bunch of projects with him. So we're always thinking about him and stuff that he's working on. I get his emails. He has a new invention almost every week. He's super prolific. And so no, we're not actually teaming up on Votarizer. It's pretty much an Adam Lesh production.
He's an auteur.
He is. But Deepak is awesome. And yeah, we'd love to work with him, however we can.
Let's see. Susan says, where is the need most for voter outreach?
That's a good question. There's so many needs. We want to reach out to Black-led organizations, to more Latinx organizations, to LGBTQ plus organizations. Gay pride events were the #1 events, bar none, for registering voters. Also just super fun. But yeah, that's just a few. We also want to reach out to the disability community and reach out to veterans and people of faith. And that's, our work is cut out for us. We have over 100 partners, and I'm super proud of that. That's in this short amount of time. But we always need to be building partnerships and strengthening our outreach.
Great. Here's one from iPhone that I actually answered privately to iPhone, but I'll answer it for the group as well because they asked to the group. Can you explain the expenses for text banking? I'd like to help explain that to people to encourage them to donate. Yes, I can break that down for you. So the text banking requires data, so we have to go out and find data sets and buy them, and that's that can be very expensive. I think the first data set that we bought for the college students was $50,000. So yeah, data is a big expense. There's something Jason was talking earlier about how we're not starting where we started prior to this year. We're not starting where we started even in June because we have all of this knowledge. One of the things that we know is what CRM means. A CRM is the acronym for the database to actually manage all of those records. When we started this, we were a 100% in-person voter registration outfit, and we did not know what CRM meant because we didn't have to have data. We just went out and found people in real life during the pandemic, we've turned into digital experts, and a CRM is that database. And that database also has to be paid on a monthly basis based on how many records that you have to manage. So that's a second expense. And then the third expense, of course, is the actual data cost to send a text. Just like you have a data plan for your phone, of course, we're not using your data plan to send all of these millions of texts. We're using a platform. It's called Spoke Rewired, and it can handle up to 1,000 volunteers at a time. And that costs money. And every single text that we send costs money. And every response that we get, we also pay for. And so if there's a conversation, that has to be anticipated. And so all of the budgeting for our text banks include that average conversation cost. So hopefully that answers that question. If it doesn't, post another question in the chat and we'll get to that. Hopefully that helped. All right, here's another question. Can you give us some insight into outreach and partnerships? Any plans for college groups? This is from Ashley.
Yeah. College groups. So first of all, colleges were besides Pride events, colleges were, especially community colleges, were the best places to go for voter registration. However we can target young people, that's what we want to do. As far as partnering with college groups, we definitely continue to pursue that. It is difficult because they're led by college kids and there's a lot of turnover and, a lot of flakiness and, making contacts with, making plans, doing anything that sticks around. That said, we'd love to partner with Sunrise Movement. We'd love to partner with any youth organizations that you have any connections to. Hook us up.
March for Our Lives.
March for Our Lives. Yeah.
Yeah, if you know anybody there, we'd love to connect with them.
Absolutely.
Okay. This may not be a question that you have an answer to, Jason, but I'm going to throw it out there because there's been several questions that are kind of related to it. What are we doing in California? Specifically from Mary Claire, what are our plans for ousting the seditious seven, the 7 California Republicans who tried to block the acceptance of the Electoral College results?
Yeah, it hurts to have them this close to home. We don't have many Republicans, but we got some of the worst in California. Mike Garcia in particular, who just won the 25th by such a small margin, mainly because we were not able to get out there and knock on doors. He's someone who is, he's super vulnerable and he still voted to overturn the American election. So it's a dilemma how to help out in California, honestly, because people are, you can always find unregistered people in person. It's tougher to find data on unregistered voters in California, and any lists of any great size by district. Since there's also so much vote by mail, getting people to vote by mail is not necessarily a way we can help either. So it's really a dilemma. As soon as we can physically get out there and it's safe enough, I can't wait to register voters in Mike Garcia's district and the other 6 districts that we sorely need.
And neither can Susan. She's already said that she would like to focus there once we can do it in person.
That's wonderful. Yeah, we're hoping that we can get out there by back to school in like late August, September, because that's when it's like, the Burning Man of voter registration. And you just look at someone and they register. It's amazing.
Here's another question. Can we get postcards for local postcarding? I think this is another California question. This is from Joanne.
That's possible. Yeah, I'll look into that. I'll ask Corey, one of our resident geniuses, about that.
And this is from Mervis. Is there going to be a graphic we can send to postcard volunteers We have a great group of women here in the South Bay who would love this. The answer is yes. We're going to come up with graphics that essentially you can download and then send to a vendor that will vet, and you can basically order as many postcards as you want, and they'll get shipped to you, and then you can fill them out and send them out. So that's the plan, and we're putting all those pieces together. Let's see. Jan asks, are you partnering with Drag Out the Vote?
No, not yet, but we'd love to. If you have any contacts there, let us know, and we will. We had an initiative, our own LGBTQ plus outreach team launched an initiative called Slay the Vote. But yeah, would love to make contact with them. That would be terrific. There's a number of ways that we can team up with any organization in this space that wants to do voter registration. We basically love to teach people how to do that, or if they're already doing it, just superpower their efforts. And yeah, but it can even be something as simple as having them send an email blast out to their membership with a QR code to Voterizer, urging them to get registered.
Even their own branded version of Voterizer.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Here's a question from Withrow. Independent voters are so important in many states, Arizona particularly. What strategies do you think we can use to reach these voters and turn them into ardent Democrats?
There's only one Withrow I know, and that is Withrow Gil Weir, who is our Southern Arizona field director. And Gil, you're the best. I'm glad you're here. Instrumental in our efforts in Arizona. Independent voters, yes, absolutely. So I'll just talk about digital efforts right now, because that's what we'll be doing for the next little while, at least. Digitally, the lists we have, we bought enough lists that now they comprise our own Field Team 6 database of about 15 million names. All of them, yeah, Dale, I see you going like that. Yes, I know. Very proud of that. 15 million names across our battleground states. They're all chosen because, like those lists that I went through earlier, those are all rated to be likely Dems. The truth is, the rating systems that these data vendors use are they're better than nothing is a good way to describe them. They're helpful, but as anyone who's texted or phone banked knows, you get plenty of independence on those. You know, there's only the thing is, what we're doing is unique. We're registering new Democrats. Lots of other organizations do GOTV, and they talk to registered Democrats for campaigns, usually educate them and get out the vote. We're the only national organization I know that is bringing new Democrats onto the rolls, and that is a diabolically difficult task. When you get data on registered voters, you have a ton of parameters available because there's a lot of information that they put down when they fill out a voter form. When you're looking for eligible voters, people who have not registered yet, the data vendors have to use all kinds of estimates based on, if they own a Prius and drink at Starbucks, and probably liberal, stuff like that. It's much more in a gray area. So yes, there are plenty of independents. I wish we could delineate who we're contacting better, but these are just the limits of the data that we're using.
Here's a question from a fellow Dale. Spoke got overwhelmed last fall several times. Does it cost us more to make it stable? Actually, we did switch platforms to a more stable version, and that's the one that I mentioned, the Spoke Rewired. They can accept up to 1,000. What we were trying to do is we were trying to get a lot of people on the smaller version of that platform, and it was not stable. So we moved to the bigger one, and we didn't have any trouble after that. So good question, and yes, we are on that. Let's see. I'll take 3 more questions. So make your answers quick, Jason. Here's one from Meredith. With text banking, can we continue to target folks who were thrown off the voter rolls to re-register them?
Meredith, is that Meredith Pominville? Just says Meredith.
It is.
Oh, you're the best. Total text banking hero. Yes, targeting purged voters. That that actually gave us some of our best returns, and we can do that as long as we find a data vendor that can do that. The data vendor that got us that list went out of business, not because of us. I swear, they imploded and are no more. So I believe there are ways of getting to those lists, and yeah, they're crucial. They're crucial. Purged voters. We gotta, those are people who are so interested in voting that they already registered once. So that explains why it was such a fruitful list to contact. Yeah. Absolutely.
There was this, any information on whether or not vote by mail will be kept as a regular method of voting even after we all recover from COVID?
Oh my God, I hope so. California is really good about vote by mail, but laws vary widely by state, and sometimes even from county to county. So yeah, really, I hope it's something that sticks around. It mainly depends on who's in control. I can say broadly that Republicans are against voting rights. That's broadly very true. There may be individual Republicans of conscience, like I forget his name, but the Iowa Secretary of State is Republican and also seems to believe in fair elections. But in general, that's another reason to push for Democrats to get elected to positions like Secretary of State, so there can be a level playing field, and that because they generally push vote by mail more.
This is from Ashley, can we assume that we can probably partner with any group that isn't affiliated with the Dem party? And if we are working with such groups and they are interested in working with Field Team 6, each of us volunteers could help with those connections?
Yes.
Yes, a resounding yes.
And also if they are affiliated with the Democratic Party. I think Joanne put down below that, yeah, she signed up her local Democratic Central Committee to embed Voterizer on their site because she is wonderful. Mwah. And Dem clubs too. Dem clubs can also use Voterizer.
All right, I lied. I'm going to do 2 more questions. Here's one from Wayne, and it's a little bit of a shill because Wayne knows the answer to this, but how can people help on the back end of Field Team 6?
Good question, Wayne. Wayne is the back end of Field Team 6. We definitely need help from people on the back end for lots of different positions. We need someone to help on the Voterizer team with translations. We need anyone who's bilingual and wants to do translations for us for translating text banks and text bank scripts and phone bank scripts, as well as Voterizer changes. We also need I'm blanking. Who else do we need?
Well, how many teams do we have?
We have about 24 teams.
That's right. We have 24 teams. We have people who answer emails. We have people who work on Voterizer. We have people who work on writing scripts for phone and text banks. We have a newsletter team. I mean, the list goes on and on. So if you have interest and skills, or even just interest, let us know by going to the website. And at the bottom of the homepage, there's a link that you can click and fill out a little form and says what you're interested in. We will plug you in. We will put you to use, and we will appreciate you all day long and later into the evening as well. All right, here's the last question. This is from Tamara. Will you be doing some more fundraisers with writers and actors and other celebrities? It seems like a very good way to engage people.
Yes, absolutely. It is. It's great. Yeah. R.O. Kwan, Reese Kwan, amazing novelist, was part of our first event and then helped us put a whole bunch together and then wrote a piece about us in Elle magazine. So yeah, absolutely. That's a really good, fun way to get people involved in texting. And it just, you're just part of a party while you're doing it.
Yeah, as you probably noticed, we ended up having very, very long list of fundraisers, all of them in some way affiliated with different celebrities. And we're absolutely planning on putting a whole list together for 2021, because as you can see, we spent it all on the general and on the Georgia runoff. And so in order for us to keep going, we're going to need all of those fundraiser events to help us fuel the machine that registers more Democrats. So we're going to be putting those on the calendar. Hope you guys will check in with the website for those events. Check the newsletter. We always try to get at least 2 weeks notice of something that's coming up. So check the newsletters. And if you have an idea for a fundraiser and you'd like to do one, we'd love to help you put one on. We're quite adept at it now.
Yes, yeah, definitely. If you have some friends want to throw a fundraiser, we can help you with every step of that. Also, please join us for our post-election group hug on Friday, January 22nd, just 5 to 6 p.m. It's the Friday 2 days after the inauguration, when hopefully we can all just kind of breathe a sigh of relief and celebrate that the Wicked Witch is dead. And metaphorically, just have to say everything's a metaphor. There's because we're not like that. But yeah, we'll have a group hug and hang out, celebrate everything we've done.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you so much.
Sorry if I didn't get to your question. Feel free to email it to info@fieldteam6.org if you still have a burning question that I didn't get to, and we will try to get that answered for you ASAP. Be well, stay safe, mask up. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa, so much.
This is terrific. And thank you, Janet.
And thank you, Jeff.
And thank you, Jeff. Bye, everybody.